Welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is AI safety for dentists and how to stay safe during implementation of AI. My aim for the video, as always, is to make you aware of some of the potholes when implementing AI into your practice, so therefore you can be fully prepared when you do eventually take the AI leap. Now, this is just a basic video that covers a broad range of considerations, and by no means is this legal advice. The video agenda is as follows. First of all, we're going to look at ethics of generative AI. Then we're going to look at how AI can actually be used against you and how to mitigate this. And number 3 is why you should always keep the human intervention in healthcare. And the first area we're going to look into is ethics of LLMs. Now, it's essential to highlight the role of LLMs in transforming dental practices. There is just so much potential with LLMs. The potential is endless at the moment, and it's really exciting to see what can actually happen in the future. If you don't know what an LLM is, don't worry. It stands for Large Language Model, and an example of an LLM is ChatGPT. These advanced systems have the potential to take patient care and patient delivery to the next level. They can analyze vast amounts of data, they can aid clinical decisions, and also enhance patient communication, just as a few examples. With patient communication, this could include maybe booking appointments or rescheduling appointments at your practice, which is also going to require taking in patient information, which is exactly why you need to be careful and remain ethical during these practices. So of course, these advancements are very transformative, but they do come with some considerations, which I'm going to cover now. First one is privacy and data security. As just mentioned, using an LLM in your practice will most likely involve handling patient data, meaning that data security and data privacy is a top priority. I'm not saying you're already doing this, but this is another reason why you shouldn't be inputting patient data into models like ChatGPT. These models are simply just not private. I could sit here and explain all the regulations, but that video would be hours long. So what I would suggest is take a deep dive yourself into the regulations of AI in healthcare in your specific geographical location. For example, in the US, you're going to be looking into HIPAA compliancy in your certain state. And I'd also make this a regular activity, because AI regulations are always changing, new ones are coming out every single day, so it's best to stay on top of them. Now, the next consideration is human oversight, and I know I've mentioned this before, but that's because there's huge importance around it. Human oversight is so important because this will allow you to track and monitor the outputs of the LLM, and you'd want to track them to check that the outputs are actually accurate. Make sure that you read every single part of the output and highlight any errors that it makes, because LLMs, just like humans, can learn. For example, if you were using an LLM to aid your clinical decision, a best practice may be to fact check some of its outputs, especially when patient health is on the line. Now, this is another reason why I think AI is very far away from taking healthcare jobs, especially jobs within the dentist industry. Number 3 is ethical guidelines, and this is always something that you should be willing to raise concern about with your AI developer or AI consultant. Ethical guidelines include transparency and fairness within AI applications. AI systems can actually be biased, especially when trained on discriminatory data. And these biases are very real. I'm going to give an example that's not healthcare related, but for example, during job applications, some companies use AI systems to analyze CVs when putting out a new job post. And these AI systems have been known to put certain people with certain ethnic backgrounds at a disadvantage during the job applications. And there are a few examples in the healthcare industry where this has happened too, and you can take a deeper dive into them. It wouldn't be hard to find them on the internet. To be honest, there's still no best way to mitigate these problems at the moment, but of course there are steps that can be taken. Now, some of you may be thinking of having or building your own in-house LLM that's native to your own practice. Of course, this is a fantastic idea, and it's great that you're thinking like that. A consideration for you would to be compile data that is very large and as diverse as possible. I would also be monitoring performance, so you can identify where maybe errors are made with certain ethnic groups. That's just an example, but you could raise that awareness with your AI developer, make it known that this is one of your concerns, and they can help mitigate this. Another consideration is hallucinations, but I'm going to touch on that shortly. So overall, some practices may want to actually consider their own LLM. This will allow for better privacy, of course, because it's native to your own specific practice. The LLM will also continuously be able to improve, just like humans do, as well as allowing for tailored communication with your patients as it belongs to you. One of the potential drawbacks, though, is it's very costly. If you weren't looking at building your own in-house LLM, you could consider applications like compliant ChatGPT. Essentially, this is just a compliant version of ChatGPT, I think you can get a membership for about $20 a month, and then if you want their API, that's roughly just over $1,000. But I'll put a link to their website in the description below and you can check it out for yourself. Now the next area of AI safety is slightly different. This is spear phishing threats. As I said in the introduction, this is a pretty broad video. We don't dive deep into each problem. This is just about outlining certain issues. You probably already know what spear phishing is by now. If not, then it's a highly personalized technique that scammers use to get victims to give away highly personalized information. Hundreds of millions of these emails are sent daily, and they're really targeting people with sensitive information, which makes dental practices a top target for them. Now you're probably thinking, what does AI have to do with this? And unfortunately, models like ChatGPT and Bard now allows hackers to access a wide variety of personalized information, and then based off of this information, they can craft highly personalized emails to you. Dental practices are normally smaller businesses with limited resources to cybersecurity, which makes a dental practice a top target for these scammers. And think about it, how much personal data that you handle, especially with the amount of sensitive data that a dental practice will actually have. This type of problem hasn't actually got anything to do with you using AI, it's about others using AI against you. So please don't take this in a way of, I'm trying to scare you away from AI. I'm just trying to help you understand how AI can be used against you. Now an example of a spear phishing email to you could be what looks like an email from one of your suppliers, as in the email is crafted to mimic their brand style, their type of writing, which of course makes it highly convincing. This email could include information about new supplies or products that they're running, which then of course prompts you to then click on the link, for example, and then once you click on the link, your computer then may unfortunately be infected with malware, and if your cybersecurity isn't at a high enough level, the malware could then potentially steal patient information, for example. The US Department of Health and Human Services has actually issued a warning of spear phishing attacks on the healthcare industry, so you can take a look at that. I'll link it below. On the right of the screen here is another example of an attack. Now I'm not going to go over it, so if you just like to have a little read, you can pause the video yourself. Now there are several techniques that we can actually use against phishing. In the past, companies have trained employees on how to recognize these emails, and you may have done the same type of thing. However, now that criminals can use generative AI to craft these emails, it's more difficult than ever to identify them. That's why I think these courses should be brought back in. Any request from an unverified user, no matter how personalized and how good it looks, should just be deleted straight away, or just contact the company that it was supposed to be from and see if it's genuine. One thing to do though is do not open any attachments or any of the links. Another example is multi-factor authentication. This will help protect your passwords. You probably already do this on other sites, maybe on your Amazon account. It's just where there's multiple steps after or before your password. A common one is, what's the name of your first pet, or what was the brand of your first car. This just extra protects your login credentials. And the good news is that generative AI can actually help you defend against these phishing attacks. Now I'm not going to dive into the technicality of this too much, but this is just done by detecting certain intents of emails. If you're super interested, just search it up on YouTube, and many videos there to explain what it actually is. The next area of AI safety you should consider is LLM hallucinations. I could have covered that in the first part of the video, but I thought it should probably have its own area. Hallucinations are another reason why I always think that humans will always have a huge involvement in healthcare. Hallucinations are when an LLM generates a false answer for a query or question that it doesn't know the answer to. Rather than just telling us that they don't know the answer, they'll spit out an answer that's incorrect, yet sounds very convincing. An example of this is you could be using an LLM to help detect a patient's condition. Now, I'm not saying a dentist would just go purely based off of what the LLM said, because they wouldn't, but this is just for an example purpose. So the dentist may input the symptoms that the patient is suffering with, hoping that the LLM will help diagnose the issue and maybe provide potential treatment plans. Then the LLM might output an answer that sounds very convincing, however doesn't have any truth to it, and the condition may be completely made up. Now if you're using a model like compliant ChatGPT, there's not really much you can do to mitigate this. One thing you could do is reduce the temperature of the LLM. In layman's terms, reducing the temperature will just make the LLM less creative, which of course reduces the chance of it coming up with something that's just not true. You could also maybe regularly check the outputs of the LLM, and if you're seeing constant inconsistency, then you could maybe raise this issue with compliant ChatGPT yourself. But the chances of this happening is very low because I know it's a top model. And if you are going to take the step of having your own LLM in-house, unique to your practice, then just ensure you have high quality training data. Of course, there are so many other areas of AI safety that you need to consider, and I'm thinking of creating more videos covering different areas in the future. Maybe I could create an ongoing series for AI safety with dentistry, which I could just update as I go along and as new problems arise. But all the areas that I covered today all have huge importance. As I did say, this video was very broad and it may have been confusing because we kind of went to 3 different areas, but the aim for this channel is to be as untechnical as possible so it's easy for everyone to understand. So hopefully this video helps prepare you for AI, and be sure to check out my other videos because there's plenty of other areas that you need to consider. Of course, feel free to get in touch with me on LinkedIn if you have any further questions, or book a call with us if you'd like to further discuss implementing AI into your practice. Links for both of those can be found in the description below. You can click here to watch my latest video, and if you're a non-technical business owner looking to implement AI into your business, then go to the description below and download our free ebook. Thanks for watching.